Hey, AfterBuzzers, thanks for tuning in to episode 8 of Scorpion, Sly, and the Family Stone. We're going to talk about it all. I have my complaints about it, but we're going to talk about it, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I would like to give a shout out right now to the one person who gave us an idea for a song at Twitter, AuthorGirl28. Thank you.
Thank you.
You were listening to our needs, like Susannah said in the tweet. Seriously. And I love Carrie Underwood, so you can't go wrong with her. You know, I mean, my favorite song of Carrie Underwood is that one where she's like, before he cheats.
Yes.
That's epic.
Yes.
Before he cheats.
That one? Yeah.
Where she's like banging on the
Right.
windows of the car.
Right.
And like the lights of the car. That's the best song ever.
That one, and then what was the last name? Is that the same song? I don't even know his last name.
Yes,
Is that him?
I don't even know his last.
That's him.
Is
That's
that the
her,
same
right?
song?
You'll let us know.
You guys let us know. Hi, AfterBuzzers. Thank you for tuning in to Scorpion's episode 8, Sly and the Family Stone. I am Monse Bolanos, once again with you to discuss this episode. I have my complaints. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Monse Bolanos, MonseBolanos. You can also follow Susannah Kim, opposite of me.
Yes, you guys can find me at Susannah_Kim, SUSANNAH_KIM.
Did you like the episode?
It wasn't my favorite. For sure, it wasn't my favorite.
Not even kind of.
Yeah.
Not even kind of my favorite.
I know, and some of the things I was like, really? You know, we were doing so well with episode 3, but they can't all be episode 3. I don't remember which one that one was called, but the one in space, you know, they can't all be that. But it was rough. I definitely had to like go back and watch a lot of the parts a few times because I don't know if I just wasn't paying attention or if it just wasn't that exciting.
It wasn't even, you know what's funny is that it wasn't even that for me. So it just shows that this episode was not eventful, it wasn't anything special because that wasn't even what I was looking at. Honestly, like I watched the episode without taking any notes, just being like a fan. I'm just gonna watch it. And I felt like it was so the beginning where they were like, let's recap all of these really interesting stories we've given you and shut them up really quickly. Like all this fun stuff we've been teasing with you, we're going to shut it all up right now and we're going to move on to something differently. And I hated that. There were so many things where I was like, why didn't you give us more of this? Why didn't you give us more of that?
Yeah.
Why aren't we talking about this? Oh, we've already moved on? Okay, I haven't moved on, but fine, let's move on. That's how I felt.
And I felt a lot of the storyline was kind of out of order too.
And quick, kind of like really quick.
The mission,
The whole mission itself, I was like, this is happening so fast. This is almost like a 2-hour episode. Not that I wanted it to be because I didn't, because I wasn't a fan. But it was almost like this needed to be a little bit longer. It felt like so quick and so not real.
Yeah.
Is that what I'm trying to say?
Maybe. Yeah.
Like, honestly, it was one of my least favorite episodes.
Yeah.
And least favorite in 3 seasons.
We've been really? Wow. Out of
Seriously,
all 3 seasons?
out of all, and how bad is it that I actually remember how bad it was? I didn't like it.
Really?
I didn't like it.
And it's like, because we've been waiting to see Walter's parents for a while. We were like, bring them back. And I like seeing them.
I like seeing them.
Yeah, I like seeing them. But
they weren't the problem.
But yeah, the episode overall,
I felt like it was like a little pushed for me, a little too quick in everything they were trying to capture in this one episode. And I liked, like there was things about it I liked, but it was like you still rushed it. Like everything between Walter and Tim, I liked all that. Why couldn't we have kept that going?
Yes, yeah, like we could have gone another episode with that.
Easily.
Although maybe they're trying to just wrap up his storyline or something, you know?
But you're making it too fast.
Yeah, and too easy. They got along too easily.
Even if that's what you're trying to do, if you're like trying to wrap it up and get him out of the show because most fans aren't wanting there to be a Paige and Tim and wanting a Walter Paige, still, it's like, give us, I don't know, the circle of life type of thing. Like, give me a full circle in what you're trying to say. And honestly, like, from the beginning of this episode, maybe I'm the only one who felt like this, but like the recap, it was like, hey, all of this fun stuff we gave you, the immigration, them living together, Cabe having to live in Happy's place, everything we've talked about, we're gonna wrap it up right now.
Yeah.
And not really give you much. But we're wrapping it up and moving on. No me gusta. I didn't like it. From the beginning of this episode, I was like, you're putting me in an upset mood.
Really? Just with the recap?
Just with the recap. You didn't have to show me anything else. I was like, I'm not having it. I don't like that we've moved on so much in this recap. I didn't like it. No me gusta. Am I the only one?
Yeah.
You didn't feel that way?
No, I mean, no, I agree. I didn't feel like the
strongly as
rush
I did.
stuff. Yeah. I didn't like hate the episode. I don't know if I can think of other episodes. Yeah, I think it's like right along there with other episodes where I was just like, meh, you know? I'm trying to think of an episode maybe that I hated. I'm sure there's another episode where we've talked about where we were like, did not like this.
And
I feel like there's another one maybe where I felt stronger.
And we probably don't remember it because it was so awful.
Yeah,
but
there you go.
This particular one, I really was unsatisfied.
Yeah.
Everything
I feel
about
you.
it. Everything about it. I mean, like, let's talk about the stuff that we did like. I really enjoyed the family. I love seeing the fact that Sylvester is so close with the family, and you hear that, you know, he has like FaceTime with them.
Yeah, video chatting every Friday.
Something
like
whatever, that. Saturday, Friday, whatever it was. I don't even remember.
I barely talked to my parents.
That was precious. I liked all that. I like seeing how I like them comparing Sylvester to the family versus Walter. Who is blood.
Right.
Loved all
Right,
that.
and not even just his parents, but like the extended family. Yeah,
everyone knew who Sylvester was.
Yeah.
And even at the beginning of the episode, when he's like showing the family picture, he's like, "That's who? That's blah. That's that girl. That's, you know, whatever." He knew everybody, and it was like, "You've been keeping in contact, haven't you? Haven't you?" But literally, the first thing I wrote on my notes was so many different topics they finished so quickly.
Stephen Godina agrees. Says, I agree.
Thank you.
And thanks to Megan Rickard saying hi, and Corby One, of course, always joining us. Thank you guys for being here with us.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. But I was just not a fan.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of the episode, we get the one interesting story.
That's you.
Oh, I'm playing stuff.
that's
I'm
us.
playing stuff. I'm playing stuff on my
playing
iPad.
herself.
Sorry. I liked at the beginning how they did that whole relationship between Walter and Tim, where Ralph goes and tells Tim
Yes.
to protect him.
Yeah, I like that. I like seeing Ralph as a little like manipulator,
Right.
playing like Toby's role a little bit.
A little bit. Who I totally would feel Ralph would be Toby.
Yeah, maybe. No, I don't know. Well, okay,
Like, if
yeah.
he grew up.
He does have like some like snarky comments that he makes, so
Right.
there's that. But I feel like he's a little more socially awkward than Toby is. Like Toby's just like, you know, pretty sharp and always there. He's like a mixture of Toby and Sly and Walter, you know?
But he's how old? Imagine when they're
Right.
his age. I feel
Right,
like
yeah.
he's somebody that would be a lot
Maybe,
like Toby.
yeah. Got those little smart
Because
comments.
of his because of the smart comments he already has as this 11, 12-year-old, whatever he's supposed to be.
True.
I liked all that. I liked how they try to connect them together, and I liked when it was like, what is the one thing they have in common? My mom,
Yeah.
Paige, totally,
Right.
100%.
Right.
I liked all of that, but I felt like everything else in the episode was so rushed. Down to the beginning, down to the recap. It was like you give me a recap, and you're just like, oh, we're just gonna close this all up right now in this recap.
What I hate about recaps too is that they always like touch on things and it's almost like a spoiler, you know? They're like,
Yeah.
hey, we're gonna talk about this, hey, we're gonna touch on this, you know? And it's like, yeah, I know you wanted to remind us of what happened, but it was kind of like, okay, so that's what the episode's gonna be about, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
And they recapped on the immigration thing, which was like, okay, we got a little bit of that, but we never saw anything of them living together, which we were very excited to see. You literally didn't show us anything.
I know.
And then in this episode, you touched on the fact that Happy and Cabe are living together, but touched on it. We didn't see anything.
I know, they just talk about it. I wish. I mean, and this is a big ask because, like, Scorpion in general is about the missions
Right.
and about them being smart. But still, like, 3 seasons in, I feel like we're so invested in these characters. We love the show for the characters
Right.
more so than just, like, the missions.
Right.
So I feel like it'd be more and more okay for them to sort of... I mean, okay, to be fair, they did sort of ease off on the mission this episode.
Yeah.
To be fair, the mission was a lot shorter. You know, it was a little much more simpler. You know, and we did get a little bit more of like the character stuff, but it was just about the new family. You know, I would have preferred it to concentrate more on our team. You know, on like the Scorpion team, more so than Walter's family. But you know what I mean? I feel like they can more so go into that kind of stuff now.
But didn't you feel like even though the mission was, you're right, it was much simpler. Like, didn't you feel like it was so quick? Like, everything about it, it just moved at a pace that didn't seem normal.
It wasn't normal. And also, I wish they would have paced it, like, differently in the episode. So, like, after the mission ends, or after like Walter saves the day or whatever, he then has the fight with the two neighbors. He should have had the fight with the two neighbors before the mission, right? He should have had the fight. I know, in the fight.
That fight itself.
The fact alone that there was a fight, first of all, was putting us in such an awkward position.
It really was.
You know, as viewers. But it would have been so much more like rewarding had the fight been before Walter saves the day. So then they get into this fight and they're like, oh, you're still the same, you know, we're gonna fight you, blah blah. And then the mission ensues, Walter saves the day, and then the neighbors come around and they're like, hey, you know, we won't fight anymore. You know what I mean? I feel like that would have made so much more sense. It would have been so much more rewarding. I just felt like, you know, they had this fight and then, you know, it ended because of, you know, Megan's procession or whatever. I don't know. It's just the timing of it was not well done.
I agree with you. Even though that whole fight, it was like, you have 14 minutes left of the episode.
That's what I was thinking.
You're going to do the fight right now?
Right? I was like, is the lake going to erupt again? Or?
So many things. Guys, I didn't like this episode.
Yeah, you're right.
I didn't like it at all. The timing, everything about it. All right, so they go to Ireland to have Megan's, what do they call it? What is the name? I wrote it somewhere.
Oh my gosh, I'm blanking.
Why are we both
Something
blanking?
Day. Starts with a P.
Yeah, if you keep talking, I'll forget. Pattern Day.
Pattern Day.
They go to Ireland to have Pattern Day for Megan's funeral, which, you know, she passed X months ago.
Right. I'm thinking Pattern Day is like a day that they do. It's like a holiday, I think, in Ireland every year.
And they do it all the time.
Right.
And it seems like they do it for anyone who maybe has died in
Recently
the X
passed.
amount of time.
Right.
So they all go over there except for Toby and Happy. Happy, I assume, cannot go because of everything she's gone through with her body and the solar panels and the whole thing, whatever. So she stays home. And they all go over there and, you know, right away we get the whole Walter's relationship with his parents and his family is a little bit weird. And immediately when they get there, Walter's like, something's about to happen in the lake.
Right.
And we're like literally told that nobody believes him. Yeah. They're even listing the things that he has failed at when predicting.
Right.
Earthquakes.
Like an earthquake and
and other things. He's like, I was X years old. Like, of course I didn't know. Even that, I was like, vomit. Like, why are you...
That they're so, like,
that they're
not believing him? Or
yes, because it's like, clearly he works for the USA in a scorpion for the government, solving all these, like, genius crimes and type of things. And it's like, oh, I'm not going to believe you because of what you predicted when you were 9 years old.
And it's weird, too, because, like, Paige makes a point to say, hey, maybe your parents won't be as hard on you. You know, maybe they'll come around because they saw the work that you put in when Megan passed and all that stuff. But not so much. I wish maybe his parents kind of stood up for him, saying like, "Dude, Walter, you know, we saw this happen when Megan passed." Something like that. That would have been like a little contrast, you know, and made a little sense.
And I'm going ahead of it, but because you're bringing it up, the whole fight thing, when everyone just sat back, I literally wrote, everyone's just sitting back. Everyone's just gonna watch this fight.
Right. They want to see how it goes down.
And then the fight breaks out, and then at the end, the mom's like, "Stop this! Where were you?
I know.
10 minutes ago."
Right.
I hated all of that. I hated everything. Anyways, let's go. They're in Ireland, and Walter figures out that this whole lake is about to explode when Tim goes to like talk to him. Tim is like trying to be a good guy, trying to protect him, be the Marine in Ireland, which is what Ralph asked him to do. And
a Navy SEAL.
A Navy SEAL. That's what it is. Thank you. And they're talking about it, and they seem to have this moment, but Walter's not in the moment.
Right.
At all. And he's like, oh, there's dead fish. Stuff is happening. We need to do something about it. They go back, and nobody agrees with him. Nobody believes him. All this good stuff. And they start to figure out this way. He's like, I'm going to do this on my own. You guys don't want to believe me? I'm going to do this on my own. I'm going to go figure this out. Apparently, like, the lake, some of the level, the top of the level was either hot or cold. Basically, it was hot and cold in one level, and the C2O was coming to the top, and it was going to create an explosion. That's what they're trying to figure out. How to make the CO2 not explode. It was like a shaking can of soda.
Yeah.
Is how they described it. And it was about to explode. Paige and Sly go with the people and the priests to try and like convince them that maybe they shouldn't go in a certain direction.
Right.
And that whole thing, it was like the priest, like everything about that. I didn't believe it. I didn't feel like this was real.
It was
and that forced from beginning to end.
Yeah, that's
you know
true.
what I mean? Like, and I felt like, give us a heads up that they're going to Ireland.
Did they not? No.
I don't remember getting a heads up.
Yeah, that's true. They just decided he was... No heads up.
And it wasn't even like...
That's true.
We didn't get a heads up that they were going to Ireland. And the way it was like shot, where I was like, wait, are they in Ireland? Show me a plane, man. Show me something that they're actually leaving the country.
Like them going there.
Like they're going. Because it was like so quick, you know, and the show is shot so quickly. So like I understand all that. But it was literally like, give me a plane, man. Because like when I'm watching it without taking notes, without even being like trying to get every detail, I'm watching it as a fan. I'm just like chilling, like let me watch this as a fan. I was like, wait, are we in Ireland? Hold on, are we in Ireland?
I think they just do some of those like setting shots where you just see like fields with sheep, but it's like like you're saying, it's not like I mean, it is kind of like that's the epitome of Ireland, but it doesn't specifically say welcome to Ireland or something like that. You know, I get what you're saying.
Seriously, you're right. They showed the scenery, but it was like, wait, did you go to Ireland? I'm so confused. Did you go to Ireland? I'm so confused. They went to friggin' Ireland. Great. So Sylvester and like Paige are trying to, you know, maneuver all of the people that are trying to do this very special thing for Megan, which we understand. And Walter is with Tim and Cabe, and they're trying to figure out how to make this explosion not happen while talking to Toby and Happy on the intercom, which there was a scene where Tim and Walter, when Tim is like trying to talk to Walter and they're talking about the dead fish and they first figure it out, you can see Walter's comm in his ear. Did you notice that?
No.
There was like, it was like clear, like you have like a comm in your ear, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they show Tim, he doesn't have anything. And then they just start talking to everybody and it's like, where did your comm come from? Did you not have your comm on? That was another thing that bothered me.
Yeah.
Because when he was talking to Tim, they weren't talking to everybody. That was a conversation between the two of them.
True.
Right, but his comm was in his freaking ear, y'all. Like you could see, it wasn't even hidden.
It just wasn't turned on at that point.
But
yeah, I mean, I think they use the comm very liberally now, you know? Like, I think they just, like, count
Like,
on the
he just has it
fans
in?
to, like, just assume that, like, hey, these comms are going to be super convenient, you guys.
Right.
Just let us use it, I guess, you know?
I guess.
I know. It's
That
so much we have to
bothered
let them
me.
get away with.
That bothered me so freaking much. So Tim and Walter they're like talking to each other and they're trying to talk to Happy and Toby, that's his name. And like Happy's like, oh, they get all these materials. They're trying to create like a vacuum that will suck the C2O out of the thing.
CO2,
Right. CO2? C2O?
CO2.
One of those two. Whatever she said. They get a boat, they get all the material that they need. But Tim kind of messes up.
Yeah.
Early on.
How annoying was that? Were you annoyed? I got annoyed. I was like, Tim, we already all hate you. You can't be a better teammate, right?
We already all hate you.
You can't be one with the team.
He's trying to be efficient.
Yeah.
He said that. He's
And annoying.
Like, well, the hot zone is the drop
He was all like
zone.
proud of himself. He was like, you said we were trying to be efficient. I'm just trying to be, fool, you just messed up. How are you going to be, right? How are you going to be so proud of what you just did when you just messed up the mission? Are you kidding? Right?
That was so good.
Right? He should have been more
pero
like,
for real. Pero for
sorry, I
real.
messed up. I'm not a genius.
Like,
you know?
defended himself when it was like, dude, no. 3 people are against you right now who know exactly what you're doing.
Right?
And you were defending yourself.
It's ridiculous.
He was like, oh, this is what we do in the, what is he?
Navy SEAL.
Thank
yes.
you. And Walter's like, that's not what that means here, man. You just messed up. And I did like how throughout the whole episode, are you sick? Because I'm fighting a cold
I
too.
might be getting on it, yeah.
You guys, all of us,
everyone,
cold?
Yeah.
A cold? Like a cough?
Everybody. Yeah, a little bit of tickle.
Like a little phlegm?
Everyone's getting it, yeah. A little bit of
I was running today,
little
and I
froggy.
was like spitting stuff out.
Oh, good.
It was great.
Like
I was
in your face? Or
No,
so
thank
when you're running,
God.
you just spit and then
It's
you run
just
into it.
forward. No.
I mean, I wouldn't know because I don't run,
Yeah.
but I assume.
She's right. But I was like spitting stuff out because I was
Good.
like, what is this? Is this phlegm?
I think
What's
everyone's
going on?
getting the same thing right now.
I'm all about a cold. Give me a
annoying.
cold. I just don't want the flu.
You always have a cold.
I always have a cold, but I can't
Always
handle a
sniffling.
flu. I just had the flu, and I
Yeah.
was out of commission for 3 days.
Yep.
Anywho, so Tim messes up, and I really enjoyed how like Walter kept bringing that up throughout the episode. It was like, well, if you would have done this in this spot, we would have been okay.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was really funny. A little mean, but it was a little funny.
Their little banters.
I liked all that, and I liked that before the episode ended was like, wait, you were told this? I was told this? Is this why we're talking? Like, they figured out that they were being manipulated or deceived by Toby and by Ralph. I liked all that. I liked that it happened before the episode was over. But, you know, Tim messes up, and they had to figure out a way because he put the, like, vacuum in an area that was not necessary, and that's it. The vacuum was broken. Well. And it's funny because at the beginning of the episode, like I said, this all happens so fast, which is my problem with this episode. Walter moves everybody from the ravine to go this way. And then it's like, oh no, everyone's going to die now because I sent them away from the ravine. They went towards the cemetery.
Right.
And then he goes and, like, chases them down and catches up to them.
Yeah.
So easily.
I know.
It's been like 3 minutes. How'd you catch up to them? So as they're like all talking to them, this is that scene where like there's a scene where there's like a giant wave that comes right before they actually catch up to them. Actually, I'm tripping. Right before they catch up to them, when they're on the boat and they know that they've messed up, that giant wave comes at them.
Right before the commercial break? Yeah.
No, pero for real.
It? Yeah. Yeah.
How did y'all survive that wave? I'm waiting.
I know. Were they wet? Was he wet when he came in? I don't remember.
Not enough.
Was he wet?
Not enough.
So they must have just surfed that little swan out to the shore, I assume. You know what I mean?
That wave, I was like, you're down, you're done, you're out, and you go.
Right.
They weren't.
I did love the swan though. I loved Cabe pedaling in the swan. He was like, the only thing I could find was pretty slow.
Without a propeller or something.
Yeah.
It was so good. I liked all of that. There were things about it that I really liked, but overall, if I'm really gonna judge this episode, I didn't like it. Sorry, I'm gonna say that. Okay, so they get that giant wave and they survive it, and they don't even look wet. They show up to the people, and they try to convince them, and they're like, da 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 da. And I wrote this down because it was so funny when Tim's trying to be helpful after he already messed up, and Walter's like, if I need something heavy lifted, I'll call you. That was funny. A low blow.
Yeah.
But funny.
Like
That was
those
funny.
little comments.
Right. And so they're kind of all running away, and they realize, like, Walter's telling everybody to run in a certain direction. Everybody who's there for the whole memorial or not the memorial, the pattern day that they're doing for Megan.
Right.
And they realize that they're basically going to a dead end.
Yeah. I mean, first he does his little, like, fire-proof thing. That's where I was kind of, like, annoyed, because he does his little, like, he goes, hey, let me prove to you that this is real. This is going to be real, guys. Let me prove it to you. Proves it. And then they realize that the cloud's there. And then he's like, wait, we're in a dead end. So, fool. So you knew... So you're saying that you knew that you were going to go there. And because when he shows up, he's like, I knew you guys were going to still be here. So you knew that they were going to be there, that you were going to go make a point that this is actually happening because it's actually happening. But you didn't think past that. Like, okay, once I prove this is happening, because you know it's happening, you know you're in trouble. You didn't think, where are we going to go after this, right? Because it seems like after he proves his point, he's like, see, I told ya. And then he's like, oh, shoot, we're in a dead end. And then it cuts to commercial, right? I was so annoyed by that. I was like, are you kidding?
So right now, I feel like I look like that meme of that husky that is like...
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? I actually know that one. Yeah.
That's how I feel right now, because I'm like listening to it. I'm like, dude,
so true.
That's on point. I feel like
So
that husky
ridiculous.
that is just like smiling and just that's what I know exactly.
Gosh.
All of that. That whole, again,
That
it
was
has
my
to
most
do...
frustrating part.
It was rushed.
Yeah.
Again, everything was rushed in this episode in a way I did not like. And you're right. He does this explosion. It doesn't work at first. And then it's like, it works. And it's like, it's too late.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, shoot. Wasn't that your point?
What? Walter, you're killing me right now,
You're
Smalls.
the genius.
Right.
Oh, man.
But obviously, this is Scorpion, so there's a solution to this. Don't worry.
Yes.
Magnesium.
Yay.
How I loved the priest, by the way.
Yeah?
The priest, and how he was kind of like, listen, Slice, sit down.
yeah.
Like, I don't have time for you. I'm a priest. We're gonna do this right now.
These Americans here. You're right. There's a negative term now.
We're gonna do this the way I've always done it. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed the priest being a hard ass.
Yeah.
I enjoyed all that.
Yeah.
So we need magnesium. We realize that. And it turns out the priest has magnesium because of the
has it
Epsom
handy.
salts for the roses. So it turns out they need 100 pounds of Epsom salts. And the problem is that nobody is capable of carrying 100 pounds over to the middle of this almost storm.
for sure.
It almost looks like a
yeah.
tornado, like a cloud. Yes. In the middle of the cloud to drop it off and evaporate this whole explosion that could happen. And so they decide that Walter decides that he's going to go with Tim. But they also take the uncle's tank of oxygen.
Right.
Which he's the one who offers it, which
Yeah.
is like, that's a nice sign of the family supporting Walter because we hadn't seen that the entire episode. So it was nice to see that. And he's like, take my thing. And at the same time, Tim's idea of what he learned
Right.
of like how to inhale and like hold his breath for X amount of time finally comes into handy. Something that he had been dropping in the episode and he was just kind of getting shut down.
Yeah.
But we don't have time for that. We have time for it now. Tell us.
Yeah.
Okay, so he tells us, and Walter and Tim do this, which I was like, what are you doing? You're just breathing fast?
Yeah, I guess they're holding their breath to take the Epsom salt into the middle of where the cloud is. But what was weird is they were like, oh, it's, you can't, I don't know. They were like, you can't do it by yourself.
Right.
Because it's a one-way, you
Right.
only have
It's
enough
too
to
much.
get there. You can't get back. But I mean, if he just takes it there and takes care of the issue, won't there then be enough oxygen so he can then make it back? Do you
That's-
need to get it back, But
Right.
so that's why I was like, well, I don't know if that makes sense. Because when they cleared up and they're like waiting for them to come back, why are you waiting? Why don't you just go run over to see if they're okay? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You're like
If
waiting them
there's
to
oxygen.
walk back. You don't know. They could be passed out. Go help them, They're
Right.
just
It's
standing
true.
around waiting for them to walk around the tree. But,
And it was like a long moment, and it was like all epic, and it's like this has been going on for 3 minutes.
Yeah,
you guys
right?
have been rushing all of this. Like it wasn't this like whole thing of just putting the 100 pounds of magnesium in the middle of the cloud. This literally happened in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
You guys put such high stakes in short amount of time.
And it was just such an easy resolution. Like
Right.
they could have passed out from the CO2 and been laying there, like they just
somebody
barely
carried
made
out
it. But and then they
something.
get carried out, and
Nope, they were fine. They were fine. They split the weight, the energy, and they get out. No, and then there's like
Easy
a purple
peasy.
galactic rainbow.
Yeah, that was special.
That was fun, and everyone was like watching it. And it was like, oh, did they survive? And like, this was another thing where Sylvester was like, that's another thing we have no guarantee of. We don't know if they're gonna make it.
Yeah.
You don't know if you're a genius. You don't know if they're gonna make
You
it.
just said.
I can't.
Wasn't the point of you sending the two of them in there?
So they get back from this purple galactic rainbow, and you think it's the end of the episode. You think it's like, oh, you've survived it. But then there's like 14 minutes left, and you're like, what's gonna happen? And then they go into this fight.
Yeah.
Come mierda, no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wasn't having the fight. I wasn't having the reasoning for the fight. Like it was forced.
All
it didn't
of it.
need to be.
Why
it was
when you
timed
solve the
wrong.
problem?
Exactly. It felt like that. Like you said, it felt like it should have been the end of the episode. Like, oh, you solved the problem. We're all happy now. They all believe you. But then you're gonna regress and say, no, we still think you're,
Yep.
a loser or whatever.
Do this in the middle of it.
make any sense.
When you know what it would have been a good fight? When the uncle was giving the tank or whoever was.
Yeah,
giving the
even
tank.
then.
That was the point.
That would have been perfect.
Because he even says, like, how are you going to give him the tank? Like, you need this. And then a fight breaks out. Do it then, because the stakes are higher.
Yes.
But you literally solve the problem, and then you want them to fight.
After.
Okay?
Why?
Why? Decime.
Why?
Tell me why.
Who storyboarded this?
I don't understand. Do we have new writers? What's
Yeah.
going on? Okay, so there's this fight, and like the only good thing about this fight is that like Walter asks Tim for a assistance
yeah.
as to like how to handle it.
Yeah.
Which was funny.
Yeah.
And Tim was like, you're just gonna let him swing, you're gonna duck, and then you're gonna punch him. And then he's like, what about his left arm? Oh, it's a jab, you're gonna be fine. It's okay. It's just a
Easy.
jab.
Yeah. Perfect.
That was funny. That was actually really funny. So he takes the jab, and then he like falls into Tim's arms. He's like, "It hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts. It's not easy. It hurts.
Walk it
hurts.
off, man. Walk it off.
Walk it off." But Walter does defend himself against the bad neighbor. we have Connor. There's 2 neighbors. Connor and who's the other neighbor? There's 2 of them. I wrote it down. I can't remember. I know, but I wrote it down somewhere in here, guys. I swear. Connor and somebody else. I swear. They're there. They fight, and Walter gets punched badly by the other neighbor who is not initially in the fight, and then Tim jumps in, and it's like a little bit of a brawl.
Yeah, sure.
A smidge. A smidge. Yeah. Another thing. Half-assed.
Yeah.
If you're gonna give me a brawl, you give me a brawl. You know what I'm saying? Don't give me this half-assed brawl if you're gonna give me a brawl. Give me a full-blown brawl. That did not go down. Tim like jumps in, and then like Walter's mom is like, "Stop! You should all be ashamed of yourselves. Y'all should."
Brings the peace.
Y'all should. You really all should. That's kind of what happens.
Yeah.
Pattern day continues after that fight. Another weird thing. Just like, oh, we just go back? Just go back to normal?
Exactly.
Did you notice? I noticed. I felt like, so right after the fight, at the beginning of the pattern day continuance, like Walter didn't have a black eye, and then he had a black eye.
I don't remember at the beginning. I just noticed when he had a black eye.
At the beginning, I felt like he didn't have a black eye, and it was like, what? And then they cut to like the neighbors who fought him, and they both had a black eye, and then they showed him, and he had a black eye. But I felt like at the very beginning, it was like, you don't even have a black eye, yo. Why do you have a black eye now?
Maybe the bruising hadn't come up yet. Delayed bruising.
Delayed bruising.
There you go.
Whatever. I really did enjoy how Megan's tombstone had the last name Dodd on it for Sylvester.
Yeah.
I thought that was so precious. I thought that was a great little detail. Then Walter and like his neighbors have this apology, and they're like, "I won't bully you. I won't make you feel smart." Oh, I forgot to say, when Walter does punch him after he goes for his side with Tim's suggestion, he yells out brains and brawn. Yeah. He like puts his arms up. He's like brains and brawn, and then he gets attacked. But I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
So Walter and his neighbors apologize, and it seems like it's the end of the episode. Then Walter and his dad still shake hands.
Yeah.
So weird.
I know.
Shook hands at the beginning of the episode after watching Sylvester hug both of his parents, talking about FaceTime.
Right.
At the end of the episode, he tells him, "I'm proud of you," and he even asks for the fight or for the lake. And he's like, both.
Yeah.
And they still shake hands.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he shook hands first, and then he said he's proud of him, so maybe he felt after the shake like, oh, maybe I shouldn't, be so hard on him, and then gave him like thank you or whatever, or the proud of him. But yeah, totally. I wish there was like a more. Yeah, especially because it's not like he's just that kind of person. Because with Sylvester, he was so welcoming. He's like, there he is, give him a huge hug. Before I was kind of like, oh, he's just so harsh. Like a rough dad or whatever. No, that's with Walter.
Which sucks.
And another thing too, because Sylvester mentions like when he's looking at the pictures, he's like, "Oh, Uncle Sean the Third, Father Sean or whatever." Yeah. Why isn't Walter Sean then? Right? If they're all Sean, shouldn't Walter be Sean?
Another thing.
Weird, right?
Yeah. I just wish it was like, especially because they made it so clear at the beginning that they shook hands. Why not at the end give him a hug?
I know. Megan Rickards agrees. She says, "Yeah, I wanted a hug there too as well."
That's it. We weren't even, and he hugs the mom, so it's not like it's completely out of character.
Right. Yeah, and that would have given us something.
Right. Yeah. A little progress. Yeah. Whatever. So they, he does say he's proud, and they quickly go back to Ireland in the same clothes.
Back to the States?
Oh, back to the States. To the garage in the same clothes.
Yeah.
Which was another thing. Yeah. So you were there one day?
Yeah.
Just 24 hours. And then you went back?
I didn't even notice the clothes. But...
Paige was writing the same thing.
Oh, yeah?
That's what I noticed. Paige was writing the exact same thing.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, seriously? So you were there 24 hours, right? No shower, no nothing.
It takes 24 hours to go and come back just by plane, right?
Exactly.
The plane ride was about that long.
They showed up, did the thing, and then came back.
So she was in the same clothes for about 72 hours, 48 hours. Yeah.
I don't understand all that. But they're back at the garage. And Toby, we get a lot of Toby and Happy. We didn't even talk about them because they're helping out with the mission, giving them the coordinates as to where the hot zone is and where they got to do what. But they also talk about their wedding.
The wedding, yeah. I wish this was a little bit better too.
Yes.
Yes.
Because it was not the main story.
It wasn't.
And it could have been in something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like, you guys are this is like not even the first, second, or third story. It was maybe the fourth story in the episode. When we really want it to be like the second or first story.
Especially because we love Quintus so much. We were always asking them for more Quintus. So yeah, this would have been a great opportunity for them to like get over another hurdle, or like, you know, just another thing for them to face, sort of. Yeah, like Happy wants to get it over with, and Toby wants to. Toby like slowly starts. I like his realization of it. Like, you know, slowly getting to the point where he's like, no, I do want a big wedding. So that was kind of cute. But they totally could have stretched it or made it bigger, more emotional. You know,
even down to like the beginning where we talk about where they mention Happy and Cabe living together. Keep that going. Show us some of that.
Yes.
Give me a flashback of what it's like to live with him and wake up and him give you a meat sandwich at 8 a.m.
Right.
Don't just tell me about it.
Right. I mean, they gave us the hunk of meat at the end, which was like fresh, not cooked. It's just a big hunk of meat.
Right.
But yeah, totally. They could have given us more.
It was
and
just,
even before that, like you said, they should have given us more with the trio living together, you know?
Everything.
A lot of it. Yeah, they really wasted a lot of that storyline.
And it was so good. It was like you could have kept the storyline going along with the missions. Nobody was asking you to make this immigration story
go away. Yeah.
Nobody was asking.
Yeah, we were all happy about it.
Exactly. And you could have gone along with this in any mission. And you literally turned it around in an episode and a half.
I know. They actually could have done a whole mission on that. Yeah. They sort of did, like making Walter stay home, but no, he didn't, because he ended up going on the mission. Right. They could have done more with that.
And with that mission at the end with which was last episode, I think, where Ralph was like, we could have been partners. That turned into a different thing, which you could have kept going.
Right.
And you still didn't keep going.
That would have been so good.
You know, like there were so many opportune moments when it came to like their relationship, their stories that you did not go for.
And Happy's baby too.
So quick.
Like we kind of knew, we already thought like she's not gonna have this baby. It's just like it's too unlikely that she's gonna have this baby, even have her on the missions and whatever. I just didn't see the baby happening. Could not imagine a baby coming out of that lady. But they just got rid of it so easily and so quickly and wrapped it up like, oh, I just had poisoning and now I'm cleaning my blood. You know, like
at the end of an episode, that's how you want to close that?
It just could have been more epic, too. Like, she could have been injured and lost the baby. You know, I thought she was going to be in a... How epic would that be if she was in a mission, you know, and then she, like, gets hurt or something happens and then she can't have the baby because of that. And then because of that, she's contemplating, should I even be on Scorpion? And that's, like, a huge storyline, you know? That would come in so much drama.
Yeah. And I didn't even need that, but I like the whole thinking that you lost it because of a mission, and then they tell you, no, it's the solar panels.
Right.
Even that, fine, go back to the solar panels, but you
blame it on
so quickly.
Yeah.
Like it would have been so great, like you just said, for it to be a mission gone wrong, and then she goes to the hospital, and they're like, actually, that wasn't the problem.
Right.
It was the solar panels you had, whatever, X amount of time. It was a false pregnancy. So this entire time, you weren't even pregnant.
Yeah.
But instead...
But she could have been more upset about it and stuff, too.
And the way they wrapped it up at the end of an episode, that is not an end of an episode wrap-up.
I know. And then even this episode, too, she was kind of just like... She was like, oh, I shouldn't have worked on those solar panels. All I got was this. It's like, you could be more upset about that,
A little bit. And so... we see them, Toby saying, like, I want a big wedding. Like, at the end of it, it's like, I want a big wedding. And I like how he subtly puts it in where he's like, well, Paige needs to come because she's here about our lives and like our behavior, and she's trying to make us normal. Like, we have to invite her. It's like, okay, and then, but we got to invite these others, so we're going to invite him, which I understand that logic, which is perfect. But it was like, give us more. Why did you have to be so quick about it?
So now it's up to them to give us a good wedding episode. Now that you've set us up for this wedding, don't disappoint us like this episode and just like gloss over it. Or say, even worse, don't say, oh, the wedding last weekend went great. Don't do that. You better give us this wedding. If we don't get this wedding, we're going to be real mad.
We're going to be so mad.
It's going to be a great wedding. There has to be a mission in the wedding. Something's going to happen to, like, you know, make it like not happen.
Colin is going to show up.
Something's going to happen. Yes. Something epic, you know?
The bad friend releases
or something
from
happens
jail.
with like Happy's dad or something sad.
Yes.
And then Happy can't be walked on the aisle. Something like that. You know what I mean?
Give it.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's now up to them to make that
Especially
don't run through that storyline.
do not, especially because Cabe is like, this is the happiest day of my life, and Happy's like, if this scrum can smile, I can smile at my wedding. So give us more. Please don't gloss over it.
True. And now that Cabe, and I wonder if they're doing that on purpose, making Cabe like Happy's sort of like, not father figure, but like putting them together.
Yeah.
Why pair those two? You know what I mean? So I wonder if it would be interesting to see something maybe happen with Happy's dad, and then she's all sad, and then she needs someone to walk down the aisle, and Cabe's there. He's
my God.
He's been close to
That's
her.
a great prediction. We're almost at there. We're gonna wrap it up right now with Walter does apologize to Tim at the end of that episode. Apologizes for being an ass and is like, I'm sorry, you really helped us at the end with the whole breathing and how to hold your breath.
Right.
Thanks. And then Paige says thanks, and it's like, aren't you cutting him out of the show?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?
I know.
Ugh, so annoying.
So how many more episodes of With Tim? 1, 2?
Dos.
2.
2 more. I hope so. I actually wouldn't mind 3.
Yeah.
Don't rush this.
Yeah.
Give me 3 and then adios.
Now like keep him for 3.
It's just everything was so freaking rushed.
Yeah.
And at the very end, before we end today's episode, we'll have a little bit of a prediction, but I am excited to talk about the next week's episode. But I mean, Sylvester does give Walter that stone, and that is so funny. He's like, this stone is from Ireland
like
to represent that I will go through the depths for you.
Right.
I didn't get it in Ireland.
Right?
I
It was
got it
actually
here.
from the shore. It was actually from the driveway. It was actually from outside.
It's actually from outside. All of that was so freaking awesome. And you know what's freaking awesome before we say goodbye to you guys? Who is Paige's mom? Leah Thompson in next week's episode from Back to the Future. She's going to be her mom. It's going to be so much fun to watch. I'm super excited about that. I don't really have a prediction.
No.
Yeah.
I named a few things.
Yeah,
so we'll
we don't
see.
know. We don't know. But the point is, Tim's leaving. Don't cut everything too short. Give us a little bit more. We're tired of you wrapping up all these cool stories.
Yes.
Right?
Give us more.
Susannah, tell them where they can tell you more.
You can find me at Susannah_Kim, SUSANNAH_Kim.
Yeah. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Monse Bolanos, MonseBolanos. Thank you so much for tuning in this week, the past couple of weeks, last season. Susannah and I really appreciate that we're not talking to ourselves. If you have a suggestion for a song next week on the episode based with Leah Thompson being Paige's mom, you let us know because we're really bad at that. All right? So see you next week. See ya.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.